When a racist CEO belittles a black investor in a high-stakes boardroom, he expects her to back down. Her response, a calculated move that shakes his $50 billion empire, leaves him speechless and his world in ruins. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. I step into the boardroom of Northbridge Dynamics, a sleek Chicago tech firm, and the atmosphere shifts like a storm brewing. 12 pairs of eyes, all white, all male, fix on me, radiating a mix of surprise and veiled disapproval. The only sound is the tick-tock of an expensive clock on the walnut-paneled wall. At 58, I've navigated countless rooms like this, but the tension here is electric, crackling with unspoken judgment. My pulse thumps in my ears, yet I keep my stride steady, my tailored charcoal suit a quiet armor against their stares. Stephen R. Caldwell, the CEO, stands at the head of the long conference table. Tall, silver-haired, with the smug confidence of a man rarely told no. He smirks as I approach. Before I can introduce myself, he glances at the CFO, Tom Whitaker, and says loudly, "I thought Veronica Miles was joining us. Who is this?" The room stirs. A few executives exchange glances. Tom clears his throat awkwardly. Stephen, that is Veronica Miles." Caldwell's smirk falters, his ice-blue eyes sweeping over me. My natural curls, my dark skin, my sensible heels. He clearly expected someone else, likely someone who looks like him. "Oh," he says, his surprise only half hidden. "Miss Miles, is it? You're earlier than we expected." I checked my watch deliberately, offering a polite smile. "It's 10 a.m. sharp, Mr. Caldwell. Our meeting was scheduled for 10. He chuckles, a patronizing edge to it, and gestures vaguely toward a chair halfway down the table. "Have a seat. Anywhere is fine." Not at his right hand. That seat remains empty, reserved for the real decision-makers. It's a subtle slight, but I log it. First rule of these meetings: pick your battles. I'm here to discuss a potential $4 billion investment into Northbridge, a rising star in AI-driven enterprise software. Money speaks louder than their cold stares, and I intend to be fluent as I glide to the chair, setting down my leather portfolio. "Thank you for accommodating my visit, gentlemen," I say, my voice calm but firm, belying the adrenaline spiking my heart rate. "I'm eager to discuss a future together." Caldwell nods perfunctorily. "We're curious to hear your proposal." Northbridge is quite selective about its partnerships. His enunciation of partnerships carries a warning. Not just anyone gets a seat at their table. I smile serenely. As am I. I only invest in businesses I believe in. My gaze sweeps the table, making brief, confident eye contact with each man. Some avert their eyes. Others offer tight-lipped nods. One older gentleman, likely a board member, later I'll learn his name is George, returns a polite smile. At least someone remembers basic courtesy. Caldwell, still standing, looms to assert dominance before sinking into his high-backed chair. The others follow suit. "Let's start with introductions," he says, his tone dancing on the edge of condescension. "Some of the team may not be familiar with Ms. Miles." One by one, the executives comply. Tom Whitaker, CFO, Bill O'Reilly, CTO, Daniel Cho, General Counsel, and a handful of senior vice presidents, Paul, Richard, others, all middle-aged men. No women in sight. Surprise, surprise, my inner voice drawls sardonically. When it's my turn, I keep it succinct. "Veronica Miles, Miles Investment Group, founder and managing director. I've been looking forward to learning more about Northbridge." Caldwell interjects before I can elaborate. "Veronica's an independent investor," he says, as if explaining a rare species to the room. "She reached out with interest in our expansion plan." He pauses, then adds with a faint smirk, "I understand you have a background in finance, Veronica?" He uses my first name casually, a subtle downgrade in respect, while others address me as Ms. Miles. I meet his gaze squarely. "Yes, Stephen," I reply, matching his familiarity with pointed intent. "I started on Wall Street in the 90s, then moved into venture capital. I've led investments in tech companies for over 2 decades. Tom glances up with newfound interest. Caldwell's eyebrow arches slightly, perhaps surprised I matched his tone without flinching. "That's impressive," he says, sounding anything but impressed. He flips open a dossier. "Though I admit, I hadn't heard of Miles Investment Group before your team contacted us. He means the junior analyst from my office who reached out after Northbridge quietly signaled it was seeking big investors. He likely expected an old boys club connection, not a self-made black woman with a checkbook. We operate under the radar, I say with an easy shrug. Successful investments announce themselves through results, not press releases. Across the table, a young executive, likely an assistant, bites back a smile. Caldwell's jaw tightens fractionally. He taps the dossier. Yes, results. Northbridge's results are stellar, as I'm sure you know. Double-digit growth year over year, a $50 billion valuation, and cutting-edge AI software. He launches into a monologue about their market share and projections, steering the conversation back to their greatness. It's a not-so-subtle message. We're the prize here, convince us you're worthy. I nod politely, though I know the numbers by heart. Northbridge is a rising star, but it could be colossal with the right capital injection. That's why I'm here, and why Caldwell tolerates me, despite his evident discomfort. I catch him exchanging a quick smirk with a VP, a silent "can you believe this?" I press my heels into the plush carpet to ground myself. I've seen that look 1,000 times and faced worse than Caldwell's subtle barbs. Years of practice keep my composure ironclad. He wraps up, offering a smile that's more a baring of teeth. Any investor would be fortunate to join us. So Veronica, what's your vision? We don't typically take individual investors, but given the scale of capital you mentioned. He avoids naming my $4 billion figure as if doubting it. I decide to be direct. I'm prepared to discuss an equity investment of $4 billion, I say, matching his businesslike tone. In return, I'd seek a significant minority stake, about 8%, a board seat, and governance conditions to ensure long-term growth. A ripple of murmurs spreads. Bill sits up straighter, calculating. Tom nods eagerly, seeing the financial potential. Caldwell's smile freezes for a microsecond, greed and pride warring in his eyes. $4 billion could turbocharge their expansion, but it means letting me into their fortress. That's a considerable sum, he says slowly, glancing at Tom. But we'd need to ensure you're the right fit for Northbridge's carefully cultivated culture. Culture? A euphemism for their exclusive club. I nod unfazed. Naturally. I expect thorough due diligence on both sides. Trust is essential, Mr. Caldwell. He drums his fingers once. Trust, yes. Let's open the floor. Any questions for Ms. Miles? It's framed like I'm auditioning, but I'm ready to dance. The boardroom reconvenes after a 15-minute break, and the atmosphere feels different, charged, but with a new edge. Stephen R. Caldwell, Northbridge Dynamics CEO, is now jovial, almost performative, patting CFO Tom Whitaker on the back as he takes his seat. All right, where were we? Veronica was sharing her vision, he says, flashing me a grin that feels too friendly. I resume my seat, maintaining a polite expression, though a dark cloud of suspicion simmers within me. Caldwell summarizes our earlier discussion, downplaying any tension. Ms. Miles has a compelling vision and the capital to back it, he tells the room. I think we could reach a preliminary understanding soon. His tone is too smooth, like he's buttering me up for something. I stay wary. George, the older board member who smiled politely earlier, speaks up. Stephen, what about Ms. Miles' conditions? A board seat, governance items, these are significant. His voice carries a gentle challenge. Caldwell waves a hand airily. Of course, George. That'll be negotiated in due diligence. For now, let's focus on whether we proceed. He beams at me, expecting me to mirror his enthusiasm. I offer a thin smile, sensing a trap. I test the waters. I'm glad you're optimistic, Stephen. Perhaps we should discuss timelines and next steps. I'd also value the team's thoughts. Any concerns about an investor like me? Transparency is key. I scan the faces, inviting input. Tom speaks cautiously. Financially, $4 billion would strengthen our balance sheet, letting us accelerate projects on hold. He glances at Caldwell, checking for approval. Bill, the CTO, nods. It'd ease resource constraints. We're competing with Oracle and IBM on a shoestring. That kind of capital is game-changing. A murmur of agreement ripples through the room. For the first time, I sense warmth. My money is melting their reserve. George adds, Ms. Miles, you've impressed many of us. I apologize if we seemed unwelcoming. This is unusual for us, but I'd support moving forward, assuming we align on details. I nod gratefully. Thank you, George. I understand the hesitation. This is a big step for me too, committing such a sum. Trust must go both ways. Caldwell claps softly, seizing control. Well said. I think we're aligned. He checks his watch. We've covered great ground. Let's adjourn and let our lawyers draft term sheets. I hold up a hand, stopping him. He's rushing to end this just as it turns productive for me. Before we close, Stephen, let's revisit governance. A board seat is critical, as is a committee to review internal culture and ethics, to safeguard our investment. Caldwell's smile thins, a flash of impatience in his eyes. Right, your conditions. He chuckles, but it's forced. Veronica, our culture is fine. We don't need makeovers. Paul, a slim VP with glasses, speaks up. We've had HR issues, Stephen. A committee could help. Caldwell cuts him off sharply. That's premature, Paul. We're not restructuring before a deal's signed. He looks at me, eyebrows raised as if we're sharing a joke. Trust me, Veronica, we don't need fixing. I keep my tone courteous. I'm sure it's strong, but oversight mitigates risks, lawsuits, PR disasters. Prudent governance benefits everyone. The room shifts. George watches Caldwell closely. My words, lawsuits, PR disasters, strike a chord. Caldwell stands, signaling the end. Let's not overcomplicate things. Trust goes both ways. We'll regroup soon. The men rise, murmuring agreement, shuffling papers. He's sidelining my concerns, shutting me down. As they file out, I catch Caldwell's arm. Stephen, a moment. George lingers by the door. I address him too. George, please stay. As a board member, you might want to hear this. Caldwell looks wary. What is it, Veronica? I steel myself. I sense hesitation about my involvement beyond the money. If you have reservations, let's clear them now. Caldwell's facade drops. My only reservation is your cultural fixation. We operate fine. If that's a sticking point, it is, I interrupt firmly, then soften. Northbridge is exceptional, but no company's perfect. If I invest, I want to strengthen it, benefiting employees, shareholders, everyone. His eyes harden. George folds his arms, watching. Caldwell steps closer, voice low. Let me be plain, Veronica. You're a passenger on this ship, not the captain. I've led Northbridge from day one. I won't take orders from an investor. I bristle but hold steady. I'm more of a co-pilot, Stephen. That's what partnership means. He snorts. Partnership, sure. But someone leads. You want to impose your ideals, fix us. His voice turns venomous. If it weren't for politically correct times, you wouldn't have these opportunities. The racism stuns me. My hands tremble, but I summon every ounce of composure. You're right, Stephen. This meeting is over. I gather my portfolio with deliberate calm. We're incompatible. Thank you for your time. I shake George's hand. He mumbles, Ms. Miles, I'm so sorry. I silence him with a subtle headshake, my eyes saying this isn't your apology to make. Without another glance at Caldwell, I exit, closing the door firmly. My phone, secretly recording, captured every vile word. In the back of my black sedan, I fasten my seatbelt and tell my driver, Kareem, let's circle downtown, not the hotel yet. I need motion to focus, to channel the fury still burning from Stephen R. Caldwell's racist outburst in Northbridge Dynamics boardroom. The Chicago skyline blurs as I unlock my phone, tapping into my secure messaging app to rally my team. First, I text Lauren, my chief analyst, pull trigger on Project Athena. Now, Project Athena was our contingency plan, prepared during due diligence. It involves shorting Northbridge's stock, exploiting weaknesses we identified, overvaluation, pending HR complaints. I hadn't planned to use it, but Caldwell's words changed that. Next, I call Marcus, my portfolio manager. He answers on the second ring. Veronica. I say calmly, execute the plan. All of it. Hit them hard. He chuckles. They won't know what hit them. I hang up, heart pounding with cold resolve. To Elena, my pair contact. Leak the audio to the Times. ASAP. The recording of Caldwell's tirade. We don't need an outsider telling us how to behave. especially not someone here because of politically correct times, is dynamite. I've just lit the fuse as Kareem weaves through traffic, my phone buzzes. Lauren. Orders executed. Stock down 5% and dropping. Algorithms have noticed. A news alert follows. Breaking. Investor walks away from Northbridge deal, citing governance concerns. Elena's work, a subtle jab to spook the market. Governance concerns hints at scandal fueling speculation. Marcus texts, down 12%. Trading volume spiking. Cover shorts. I reply, wait for the headline. Right on cue, the Chicago Tribune posts, Northbridge plunges amid allegations of toxic culture. CEO's controversial comments leaked. Caldwell's words are quoted, identifying me only as a female minority investor. The PR nightmare unfolds. Hashtag Caldwell resign trends online, with ex-employees sharing stories of Northbridge's toxic boys club. My phone rings, Stephen Caldwell. I let it ring twice, then answer. This is Veronica. What did you do? He roars. Our stock's in free fall. You vindictive. Careful, Stephen. I cut in, ice in my voice. You're in a deep hole. Don't dig further. He snarls. This is market manipulation. I'll have the SEC on you. I roll my eyes. I liquidated a position. The market's losing faith in your leadership. He threatens to ruin me. I reply, focus on your shareholders, Stephen. I hang up mid-sputter. Kareem glances at me in the rearview mirror. I nod slightly, signaling I'm fine. Another alert. Trading halts at a 30% drop. Reporters call. I decline, powering off my phone for peace and my hotel suite. I slip off my heels and sink into an armchair, the Chicago skyline twinkling outside. I feel no glee, just grim fulfillment. Caldwell wanted to see my power beyond money? He's seeing it now. George, the board member, texts. Veronica, can we talk? George R. I let him wait, taking a shower to clear my head. Later on the phone, he sounds weary. Things are bad. Stephen's been relieved as CEO, pending a board vote tonight. I'm glad, I say. It's the right move. He apologizes for Caldwell's behavior. We need you, your money, your leadership to restore trust. I outline my terms. Caldwell's permanent removal, me as chairwoman, a governance overhaul, a culture audit, diversity initiatives, and public accountability. George agrees. You'll have our answer tonight. By night, news breaks. Northbridge board announces CEO Caldwell resigns. A video shows him fleeing reporters, disheveled. Trading will resume tomorrow, with the stock expected to stabilize. My short positions mean I'll own a larger stake for less than $4 billion. Poetic justice, pour champagne, toasting alone. To justice and new beginnings. Northbridge will rebuild under my terms. My grandmother's words echo. Be the lightning. Today I struck hard, exposing the rot. Tomorrow I'll help rebuild.